What's happening, everybody? It's Wednesday. Wednesday means Steph Sanchez is going to be here as well as my guy Los. But we actually have some actual news in regards to the Brandon Aiyuk situation, as well as Trent Williams. But this Brandon Aiyuk situation, it is a new development, right? I'm not reporting a non-report here today. So stay tuned. Give me 17 seconds. You guys are going to want to stick around.
Back to throw Montana. Steps up, throws.
And now your host, Ryan Hensley.
Ryan Hensley. What's going on, everybody, man? Thank you guys so much for being here today. I'm going to have Steph Sanchez. She should be popping in very soon, as well as my guy Los at the end of the show. But we do have some breaking news that I wanted to share with you. Ari Marav this morning reported that, first of all, we've heard a lot of reports about this Brandon Aiyuk situation. A lot of non-update updates, a lot of non-report reports coming out. Same thing, that everything's still stagnant. But this is actually a new development that we haven't heard yet in regards to Brandon Aiyuk, which I'm going to share with you guys. Ari Marav first reported it this morning. I saw it, that the 49ers have offered Brandon Aiyuk a 4-year contract, which is new. That has been the holdup up until this point. So that is fantastic news. He says it's just minor details are being worked out. But that's a big detail, right? Before we were talking about minor details. They're close. They're going to be, they're almost done working it out, but they were separated on the amount of years. So the amount of years is not a minor detail. That's a big detail. And the fact that they are close now and that they have offered Brandon Aiyuk the 4 years that he wanted is humongous. So a 4-year contract was offered to Brandon Aiyuk. And I guess they're just working on some minor things. It's probably guaranteed money, structure, etc. But we know Brandon Aiyuk wanted a 4-year contract, and it sounds like the 49ers have given him that contract now. I reached out to one of my guys. He said the same thing. So it sounds like we do actually have progress and breaking news in regards to Brandon Aiyuk. The 49ers just offered him a 4-year contract before it was a 3-year contract. So this is great. This is fantastic news. And my girl, Steph Sanchez, just popped in backstage. Let me go add her on to the show. What's up, Steph?
Yo, what's going on?
Not much. I was just sharing with the people. So first, let me backtrack. I'm super optimistic and positive about everything in my life, Steph, except for the 49ers. I seem to find myself wallowing in the negative from time to time. So I wanted to make a conscious effort this morning to focus on the positive. But then right before the show, Ari dropped the bomb. I confirmed with my guy that the 49ers have actually offered Brandon Aiyuk a 4-year contract, which was the holdup prior to now. So that's a big development that just came out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's obviously positive news and news in the right direction. I know like there were reports before, right, that like they had the 3 years set, but like they didn't. It seemed like they weren't really agreeing on what that 4th year was going to look like quite yet. And Brandon Aiyuk wanted to, I think, increase the salary on that final year or wherever it was. But Brandon Aiyuk wanted to change something for that final year. So the fact that, we're hearing that they've made maybe like a new offer, hopefully this is like a more recent one than the one that was, previously being talked about. Then hopefully that means like they've met Brandon Aiyuk, at what he was asking for or somewhere close to that. I know Ari said it would be a little less than 30 million APY, which I think is a good spot. Cause I think like if you're getting like 30, it's like, I don't know. But like, I think 28 because of Waddle getting that, like, I think it was fair for him to want to push for a little bit more than that. So as long as he's a little close to 30, I think that's a good starting point for him.
Yeah, and again, I wanted to approach the show positive, so I'm going to try to stay that way. But I will say, it's been 2 minutes, and then 4 minutes into the show, I'm already falling off track. But the fact that he's going to be getting like almost 30 million a year, he's going to be getting 4 years. He's going to be top probably 3 to 5 paid wide receiver in the NFL. He missed the whole offseason. Brandon got what he wanted. So it's a W for Brandon. I guess that is positive. If you look at it from Brandon's perspective, he got a W. I saw a report yesterday. where they were saying the Niners were played Brandon Aiyuk exactly where they wanted him. Dude's gonna be top 5 pay wide receiver in the league. He's gonna be close to 30 million. He missed the entire offseason. Feels like a W for BA, but either way, it's a W for fans. It sounds like it's really happening. Brandon Ayuk's not gonna go nowhere. He'll be here.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I think a lot of us fans have gotten really frustrated with the way that the 49ers handle these negotiations, and they take all off season, right? I'm not sure what the benefit is at this point, because every time it feels like they end up paying that player what they wanted it to begin with. And then also, like, we've seen this many times too, where the market for that position group takes shape. And you can say like that helps the 49ers, but we know with each extension that happens in that position group, the price is just going to keep going up and up. And that's what happened in this case with Brandon Aiyuk. And that's been reported multiple times at this point, where, we heard that they were close to getting something done early in the offseason. Give the 49ers credit for wanting to get it done in the offseason, but not quick enough, because as soon as another deal got done, it was like, oh, wait, I want more now. and that's the market. So it was fair for Brandon Aiyuk to want to push for more at that point. And so, yeah, I think for all the talk, and I said it early in the offseason, right, that the 49ers had all the leverage here, all this and that. But for the little cards that Brandon Aiyuk had, he played them very well. He was very patient. I know, like, early in the offseason too, there are people that were saying like he should fire his representation. Should he? I mean, he's actually, held strong throughout all this. And I think the 49ers have too, which they always do, but I don't think they do it thinking that the other side will as well. I think they do it under the assumption that the player and their reps are going to crack at some point, and they're going to blink first. Well, that hasn't happened in this case. And so I think it's been to Brandon Ayuk's benefit. I think all the deals that have happened this offseason ahead of his has helped them as well. And let's just hope the 49ers get this done before Cowboys get CD's deal done, because who knows? You don't want another bump in the road.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That wouldn't be good. Yeah. It sounds like they're right there now. Finally, and I've been trying to avoid the breaking news, YouTube videos, because they just seem like they're the same thing over and over again. But this one is new. The 4-year contract, just to reiterate to everybody. So that's exciting. And I'm sure at some point we'll dive in deeper in regards to the Niners and their negotiation tactics. But for right now, for 49er fans, you should be happy, because it sounds like BA is going to get what he wants, and he's going to be with the team very soon, which is important, especially because of, I'm not sure Ricky Pearsall would have been able to subsidize Brandon Ayuk's play anyways, but it sounds like Ricky's may not even be able to play in week 1 at this point, which is unfortunate. But the BA news is good. So we're trying to focus on positive today. Another positive development, I guess. I don't know if it's a development or just a word that we heard from Deshaun Jackson, was in regards to Trent Williams, which I think we all kind of figured. And you could kind of tell by the way the 49ers were dealing with it. They never really seemed concerned with the Trent Williams situation. I was never concerned with it. It always seemed like the only worry was, is he going to retire? It was never, are they going to pay him? We all figured that he would be paid. They can't live without Trent Williams. And Deshaun Jackson was on, I think he was on FS1, I believe, who is a friend of Trent Williams, talks to Trent Williams regularly, says Trent Williams is down in Houston lifting, and that it's going to be, it's all going to be handled very soon. And he expects Trent Williams to be in the building very soon. Did you see that? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, I saw the clip. I'm hoping it's legit. The fact that, he speaks to him regularly is obviously gives it, I think, a little more weight than, what Jerry Rice said on his Instagram, because I think at this point, like, we're grasping at straws at any type of report that we could get. Jerry Rice had the report on Brandon Aiyuk. Well, it wasn't even a report. It was just his post on Brandon Aiyuk saying, like, guess we'll find out tomorrow what's going to happen. And, we're all waiting on pins and needles and nothing happened. So I'm hoping that this one here is legit. The way he said it, of course, seemed to suggest that, he knew something that most of us do not. And who knows? I mean, I know that we've speculated that Trent Williams just wanted to skip out on training camp, and who knows, maybe he has a under the table agreement with the 49ers that, okay, like we'll let you skip out on that. We'll give you a new deal when you're ready to come back, kind of thing. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, obviously that's good news because they need him out there week one. They need both of these guys out there week one. So
Yeah.
we'll see how Trent is. Like, hopefully he's not like rusty or anything. But I always say, like, even a rusty Trent is better than a lot of tackles out there in the league. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I think with Trent, it's probably a lot of things, right? Like he wanted the money, and I know Kyle. They asked Kyle about this, like, is BA
Yeah.
situation preventing you from doing Trents? And he said no, but it's okay. I'll clarify. It probably wasn't preventing it from happening, but it's much easier to figure it out and how you're going to structure it once you know what's going to happen with BA. So now that BA is very close, I've always said that one domino is going to fall, the other one will fall after, and I think that's probably part of what has been the holdup. I don't think Trent wants to be in training camp. I don't think he necessarily needs a full training camp. A couple weeks would be great for Trent. Anything over that, at his age, is probably a little bit of unnecessary outside of just being there around in the building. Would have been good probably for the entire team. But sounds like BA is very close. Once that domino falls, the next one, Trent Williams, will fall. And 49ers will have both of these guys on the team, which is huge. They need both these guys, in my opinion, looking at the roster right now. How does a team with Brandon Aiyuk, because there's some concerns and questions whether it was going to happen, but how does a team with Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams look to you this season with everything else, the new roster, the rookies, and then adding in Trent Williams and Brandon Aiyuk? How do you feel about the season, assuming that that's going to happen here soon?
I mean, I think the offense and the team looks a little more complete with those guys, right? Because you have Brandon Aiyuk, who's your true X. You have a lot of like good receivers, right? It's a good receiver room, maybe one of the better ones that they've had, assuming, of course, like they get this done with Brandon Aiyuk. In any case, he's still signed through 2024. So it is a good receiver core. But a lot of those guys, aside from Brandon Aiyuk, can only do certain things. Like not all of them can do what Aiyuk does. Like he's a true wide receiver one, a true X. Chris Conley, like he's a great backup to Brandon Aiyuk, I think. But by no means does that mean I'd want him out there, week one instead of Brandon Aiyuk. Like that wouldn't really excite me, wouldn't scare defenses. And it shouldn't be something that happens. For Trent Williams, I mean, I think it's huge because to me, like he is the glue of that offensive line. He's the one that kind of makes it look a lot better than it actually is. And I think that's what we've seen so far this offseason, not to mention all the injuries that they're dealing with. So if you could just have like Trent Williams back and you can have Jalen Moore, I don't know, return to being a backup. Who knows? With the way the Colton McKivitz is looking, like I would even venture experimenting at having Jalen Moore, work a little on the right side in practice and see if he could eventually get comfortable there. But yeah, I think just having Trent back would be huge. Guys who should be depth pieces will be depth pieces, and yeah, it'll look a lot better because with the way that Pooney's looked, and we know he's looked great so far, you have two guys I think that you're going to feel really confident in, to start week one. So, maybe that's enough.
Yeah, the Pooney pick is actually looking better than ever. I mean, I love the Pooney pick from the beginning. Obviously, any investment in the offensive line, especially a guy like him, he looked good in college, and I was excited about it. But it looks better now simply because John Feliciano just had surgery, just announced, and he's going to miss half the season. Burford is, I guess he's working in practice with a club on his hand, but he had hand surgery. So you got John Feliciano and Burford, both the guys who played right guard last year, working through injuries. Feliciano's going to miss half the season. And so having Pooney not only is it an upgrade to me over both those guys, it's just great because if you didn't have him, you would be pretty strapped right now to find a guard replacement. Obviously, I would love them to invest in a center and a right tackle. But having Pooney has turned out to be a great pick, not only because he looks fantastic, but also because of the depth issues with injury right now. So Pooney's a great one. And some more good news, Steph, to me, and maybe I'm way too excited about this, but Isaac Grindle is a guy that I had in my mock drafts because he's just ridiculously fast. I wanted the 49ers to get faster this year.
Yeah.
Grindle was one of those guys that I was interested in helping the Niners do that. I believe he ran a 4.33 40, if I'm correct. I think he's the fastest man on the 49ers. He's back in practice right now. So yesterday I did a show about the depth chart. I'm like, how are they going to put him on the team if they haven't even seen him in practice or in a preseason game? But it sounds like he's back in practice, and I would bet that he is your kick return man, if not the first guy out, the second guy out in this preseason game on Friday. And he has a real opportunity to be that guy in kick return. How are you feeling about Isaac Grindle coming back to the team?
Yeah, I think they'll definitely want to ease him in, right? Like kind of similar to Ricky Pearsall's situation where, he's been bit by the injury bug throughout camp. They don't want to rush him back, right? And I feel like they didn't rush Garendo back, but they want to ease him in for sure, especially knowing the history that he's had with hamstring injuries. And that could
Yeah.
be a reoccurring thing. So you want to be careful with him. The idea of him being involved in kick returns is obviously exciting, with the speed that he has. But I don't know if they're going to put him there right away. I know they'll experiment, and I think they're experimenting with a number of guys there. Like we've seen Debo, we've seen Cowing, and Cowing could be exciting too. And he's healthy right now, so I would actually say probably Cowing ahead of Garendo there right now. But I mean, with the speed and the threat that Garendo has, he could very well, vie for that spot. But I mean, he has to show it too, right? So
Yeah.
now that he's back at practice, they're I'm sure they're gonna put him there to see what he can do there. And maybe I would assume he participates in this final preseason game, even just a little bit, to work him in and kind of get a feel for what they have in him. And that should be exciting too. But I've also seen people like speculate that with the running back group that they have right now, do they just redshirt, Isaac Rendo? I don't know if I love that idea because I feel like redshirting a player doesn't always work out. Like I feel like you put them more behind, even though they could still participate a bit in practice. But I don't know if that would be a good move in this case for Grando. So I much rather have them keep him on the roster, but we'll
Yeah.
see. I'm excited to see what he looks like in the final preseason game, assuming he plays.
I would think they have to play him because they haven't seen him at all. And
Yeah,
if
you
they're
want to
gonna
see.
if they're gonna keep him on the roster, I mean, he's not gonna be running back 1, 2, or 3. I would be surprised as long
Yeah.
as Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, and Elijah Mitchell are on the team. So I don't expect them to make the roster for running back necessarily. And Matt Breida looks actually really good for maybe that
Yeah.
RB4 if they keep Elijah Mitchell. So if he is going to make this team, I would assume it's because he can show something in kick return. I do think I got a prediction, man. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. I haven't seen Isaac Grindle, so I could be just pulling this one out of my what. But I think Cowan's going to be the punt returner for
Yeah.
sure, and I think Garendo might be that kick returner, and I think they're definitely going to give him an opportunity Friday to earn that. So that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to Friday. I love it when we have weeks, Steph, where it's like only 6 days between games instead of 7 or 8. So this week it's great. Yeah, because Friday we get to watch them. By the way, speaking of positivity, you just had a birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday to you, Steph.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. We're both I'm not into astrology. My wife is big time. I don't necessarily believe it, but we're both Leos. So, right?
Me and
You're a
you?
Leo? Yeah.
Yeah,
Aren't you
I'm
a Leo?
Leo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Leos, one thing about Leos is we love being Leos. I don't know about you, but like, do you have any tattoos, Ryan?
I got a lot of tattoos. Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you have a lion tattoo?
So here's the thing. Here's the
That's a
thing.
yes.
My second tattoo was a lion. It's covered up now, but it was so bad I
Uh-huh.
had to cover it up. I got my first tattoo
Damn.
when I was like 16. It said Hensley, like really small across my arm, and then I put a lion on the other arm when I was 18. But it was so trash that I had to cover it up and get a better tattoo. But yes, it's there. It's just underneath
It's
my
a
other one.
thing. It's a thing, though. I think all Leos,
You
at
have
some
one?
point in their lives get a yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I used to really be into it, and then I started thinking about it more. I'm like, you know what? The people that made astrology, they didn't even know the Earth was round. So I'm gonna go ahead
You know
and
what? That's fair. That's
uh, like, the Niners have to cut down to 53 in 6
Mhm.
days, next Tuesday. There's a lot of guys that are, like, right there on the border. I
Yeah.
have 2 guys that I really want to make the team, and I wanna see if you have anyone else, but, the first one is Curtis Robinson, who
That's the first one that popped into my
yeah.
head. Yep.
Yeah, he's been playing phenomenal, and I love his story because he's been on the Niners, what, 3 or 4 years, and,
Mhm.
yeah, always on the practice squad, always on the practice squad. He had I guess he had opportunities to go to other teams and possibly have a better chance of playing, and he turned it down to stay here with the 49ers and learn from, uh, linebacker coach as well as, like, guys like Fred Warner, but he stuck around, and it seems to be paying off. He's a Stanford guy like John Lynch, extremely intelligent, um, really hoping that he is one of the guys that makes the roster. What do you think about Curtis Robinson? Do you have anyone else that the fringe guy that you're hoping makes the team?
I do really like Curtis Robinson. I do hope that he does make the roster as well. It'll just be interesting to see how they do that, because they have Flanagan Fowles, who has kind of been like, on the team for a few years now, but mostly a depth guy, mostly a guy like you wouldn't be too excited if he played out there. The times that he has played out there, he can finish the game for you, but he lacks the same energy that like a Warner or Greenlaw would have. So I'm very encouraged by what I saw from Curtis Robinson. If it came down to a decision like that, I would say I don't know how many linebackers they would keep. I'm trying to remember how many they kept last year, but
6 last year, 6.
6. Okay, so then in that case, um you could probably fit him in and then cut Jalen Graham and Tatum Bethune, and both of those guys make it to your practice squad. I just
Yeah,
feel like, with what Curtis Robinson has done, it like, if you cut him, I think he'd end up getting poached by another team.
for sure.
So, I'm
Yeah,
not
I
sure if
agree,
I'd
and
risk
help me out. Who was getting cooked when Greenlaw went down? Wasn't that DFF that was getting cooked in the Super Bowl by Kelsey?
that. Yeah, I believe it was him, and that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
like,
we know what he
he
has.
just lacks he's a level below those guys, like, clearly, obviously, and, like, it's at a point where, like, you know who he is, and he's just never gonna be that guy, like, um, so, yeah, I mean, he's cool for depth, he plays special teams as well, so I think that's why they've kind of kept him around, but this might be the year where they feel strongly about Curtis Robinson and what he's shown so far that, they kinda make that switch.
Yeah, and I would think guys like Winners could substitute the loss of DFF on special teams because Winners is fast.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe he can also supplant that. I hope Winners make it, and obviously Curtis Robinson. I have another guy, but I want to hear from you. Do you have another French player that you're interested in at all? Like hope makes the
Um
team?
I'm gonna say Jarrett Kingston because with all the injuries that have gone on with offensive lines so far this offseason, I think it's given other guys the opportunity. Like Pooney is a great example. It's given some of these rookies and younger players an opportunity to play and get more snaps in practice and even in these preseason games. So Jared Kingston has looked really good. The first game it was like quietly, right? Like he did good. Second game, it's like okay, like we might have something with Jared Kingston here, and we know that like across the league, offensive line play is so poor. Like it's so average to below average that I think a guy like Jarrett Kingston, who has shown well in 2 preseason games, would probably get poached by another team if they caught wind of that, right? Which scouts, that's their job. Like scouting departments are looking at what other teams, what other players are looking like on other teams to see if they can bring them on board. So I think Jarrett Kingston would be one to go. Now we've done this dance in the past, right? Like Il Manning, you guys remember that,
Yeah.
and everyone was really adamant about keeping him. He got cut, he got poached. 49ers live to see another day. I don't even know if he's on a roster right now, but Jarrett Kingston, I think, with some of the injuries that have taken place, especially to the guards, I would keep him on board.
Yeah, and I think he does. I think Kingston and Zakelj actually make it as
Yeah.
depth on this team. There's another guy I'm interested in a lot. I'm surprised that the 49ers haven't made more moves on the D line. Like, I'm surprised, especially with the edge. But maybe the reason is because they're seeing what I'm seeing. Probably not. They're probably not. It's not probably not going to work out how I would do it. But when I watch these preseason games, there's a guy that jumped out at me in both games, Jonathan Garvin, who I believe is a UFL dude. Um,
Or
both
Justin
games.
Garvin, the
Is
defensive
it,
lineman.
is it Justin?
Justin.
There we go. Just that's how small of a name he is. That's how fringe he is. I don't even know his name. But I know it's Garvin. I know that part. And anyways, he looks huge. I think he must have a giant head or something. I don't know, but he just looks like a monster. I have a big head, so I can say that. But he looks hella good. He's been flashing for me, and I'm hoping they go with a guy like that. Again, they see these guys every day in practice. So, they have a better picture of these guys than I do, but just based on the games that I'm watching, Jonathan Garvin is a guy. He was like a standout player in the UFL last year,
Mhm. Yeah.
and the 49ers signed him, and he's looked good so far in the preseason. So he's another dude I'm hoping to. Real quick, sorry for DFF. It was Owen Burks that was getting cooked by Kelsey, I believe. So I apologize. Didn't mean to throw you under the bus there, DFF.
But I mean, DFF has had some
Yeah,
games where he's had to fill in, and it's obvious the starter isn't
yeah.
in there. So
And if you got a veteran and he's competing at all with a younger dude, and they're similar, like go with the younger guy because you're seeing the
yeah,
ceiling with this veteran versus the floor of the younger
yes.
guy. Want to get your take on two things, two questions. Who do you think is going to be rookie of the year for the 49ers?
Mm. Pooney. I mean, that's that. I thought about it, then I was like, wait, this is so easy. It's Pooney. I mean, he already looks like the star of the 49ers draft class, and so far it's very early, right? But like so far, early returns have been that he looks like one of the better draft picks of the class. One of them, not all of them, obviously, but given he was a third round pick, it's already looking like the week one starter. I'd say that's pretty good. So I'm gonna say Pooney. The other name that kind of like sprung into my mind was Cowing, because I do think like he's gonna have some involvement this year just because what he does. The speed factor is something that no one else on this team does. Obviously, like things like jet sweeps and things like that, like Debo could do that, but that speed factor, I think, is something that you're gonna want on the field. Ryan, hear me out here. I'm thinking of a dream scenario where we see a double end around with Debo and then Cowing, and it's going to be a big play. I hope we see that. I just know like Kyle Shanahan's cooking some stuff up in his head for Jacob Cowing, just seeing how he's looked so far. So that'd be like my secondary, but I think Pooney is the obvious one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it has to be. Hopefully, it is Pooney because that's the biggest area of need, I think, for the
Yeah.
49ers
Yes.
from these rookies. So, yeah, I think that's a good call. You're probably going to be right. Last question for you before we pop Los on. Who's going to be the most improved player for the 49ers this year?
Phew, most improved. Um. Okay, I gotta think. I mean, I want to say I
It's
would say
tough.
Lenore, but he's already like he was already pretty good last year, so I'm trying to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Um.
And I think
And
Lenore's a
and
good pick.
Yeah, and you could also say Jair Brown, but Jair Brown was also pretty good last year too, but I just think he's gonna kick it up a notch
I
this
think
year.
that's the
So
pick. That's to me,
that
that's
might
the pick.
be that might
Jair,
be
I
the
think.
move. That might
Yeah,
be the move.
I think Jair. I think Jair is the pick because he was good last year. He had moments
Hmm.
where he flashed, interception, but there was nothing where it'd be like, oh, this dude's a fat, a what's the word I'm looking for? A I don't know. A fat. He's not a.
I
He
have those
wasn't like
moments,
a.
man.
I'll think of the word after I'm done talking about it, but he's not like he. You didn't see Jair Brown and be like, this guy is going to be a crucial part of this defense last year. I wouldn't say, but he did flash. Whereas this year, I think he is going to be one of those players where you can count on reliable, a really good player. So I think that's a good call. What do you have going on your schedule, Steph?
All right, so later today, I have my Wacky Wednesday show with Desi. We talk about like injuries and of course like the latest updates happening. I'm not into my season schedule yet, but my in-season schedule will be released pretty soon, and then we'll start getting into that. But yo,
Yeah,
Ryan, thanks for having me on. As always, appreciate it, man.
it's great to see you. Great having you on, and I'll see you next Wednesday.
Sounds
All
good.
right, guys. Give me 17 seconds. I'll be back with Los. Hensley Real Estate and Mortgage has been serving all of California since 2009. I would love to help you and your family. Whether you're buying, selling, financing, or refinancing, please reach out. I'd love to help. Visit RyanGHensley.com for more information. Los Loco is in the building. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's good, bro? What's good? You talking about birthdays and all. Like
Yeah.
mine's is next Saturday, so I'm a Virgo, which is very good for analytical, especially 49er content. But I'm married to a Leo, and y'all are something else.
Do you
Both
believe? Do you
mostly
believe in
good, mostly
astrology?
good, but yeah, she's a Leo. She's August
Do you,
14th.
do you believe in astrology? Let me ask you that. We'll start with that.
To a point. When it gets a little bit overboard, and the people that really, really, really believe in astrology are like, oh, well, that's why that person is like that. I'm like, come on. I mean, there are some tendencies when you start reading them that kind of hold true, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I believe in it about a 6 or 7, not overly over the top. How about you?
Yeah. I don't believe in it at all. My wife and I debate about it all the time. I think it's just BS.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Valerie, Elise, birthday is today. Shout out to Valerie. Happy birthday to
Happy
you.
birthday.
Hope you have a fantastic day.
Is today a Leo?
I don't know. Is today still Leo? Valerie, are you a Leo or what is today? I don't know what the cutoff is.
Fire.
Yeah, but happy birthday, Valerie. Los, man, I woke up this morning and I
Yeah.
wanted to be as optimistic as I could about the 49ers because the truth is my goal is to be, yes, Valerie is a Leo, last day for the Leo. Shout out to Valerie. Happy birthday again. Here's the thing, man. I am never ever going to fake my opinions or lie about my opinions in any way. Like I know there are certain people that purposely design content to get clicks and views, either to the negative or to the positive. Some people that only will be positive about a team. There's some people that only will speak negative about a team, and it's designed that way. With me, it's never designed in any way. It's just I'm trying to give my honest opinion, good or bad, all the time. But I do notice that sometimes I'm focusing on only the negative when there are positives with this team. So that's kind of the direction I want to go on, at least today, because I feel like I've been in the negative for too long, and there's a lot of good things on this team. And I know you and I share some of the negative thoughts in regards to this team, but the goal is today to try to, our best of our ability, focus on the positive things. So
I'm
give
with
me
you.
something positive about the 49ers. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I mean, just in life in general, I think when you go too far this way or too far that way, that tends to be trouble. So you got to stay balanced. You got to stay in the middle, whether it's sports or life or politics. All
You
that
sound
good
like my
stuff.
wife because she says I'm too positive. I'm like in life. That's the thing is people don't realize I'm pretty balanced and sometimes negative on the Niners, but in real life
Well,
I'm like overly freaking positive about everything. And she's like, dude,
I mean, I have my show over at NorCal, and what we talk a lot about is, I think at the end of the day, chat members come in and want to hear you be real. They want to hear you give honest opinions. So, if the team is struggling in a certain aspect or they do something that you don't agree with, it just doesn't look good when you just like completely spin it positive. So to me, there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism, because at the end of the day, we all want the Niners to win their 6th title. So when we see things individually, and we all have, there's different ways of winning a championship. Everybody has a different way of building a house, whatever. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with pointing out things that we see that maybe the others don't, and then we talk about it. You don't necessarily have to agree with it, but I went back and watched to get the whole negative out of the system, Ryan. I went back and watched most of my favorite content creators' shows after the Super Bowl. I watched Bonte and Joe. I watched you. I watched Jesse. I watched Coach. And it was a lot of the same content over kind of the same topics. And we don't have to talk about it because we want to stay positive today. But it was interesting to kind of see that and see where they were then and how we are 6 months later, if we've gotten any more solutions or made any progress.
How are you feeling right now? Give me a positive, something you're feeling positive in regards to 49ers right now. What, do you have something?
Yeah, well, last week at the end of your show, you'd asked me about 3 things positive, and I said that I thought that the Niners' young guys would take a next step. I thought that the guys like Luter and Winters and Graham, some of the offensive linemen that maybe are in their 2nd or 3rd years would take that next level and would play better. I thought the main positive that I had is I think Purdy will take the next level. I think he'll be even better than he was in the last 2 years, with one caveat: he needs to be protected. That's not a negative. That's just a fact. If he could understand Shanahan's offense, he could be stronger, which he looks like to be. His arm could be a little bit stronger throwing the ball downfield, but he needs that protection. So if he does get it, I think Purdy takes the next level. So there's a lot of positives about the team. It's only a few negatives. I mean, this is a Super Bowl, team that's been right there for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's why we're all so frustrated. Is because it's a tease. Like, we're right there. It's like, what is going to take to get us over the top? Is it Kansas City always standing in the way? So I mean, does everybody think, if Cincinnati gets in that's why that one Super Bowl when if we had beat the Rams and faced Cincinnati, I think that one hurts a little bit more, maybe because Kansas City is going to be tough to get through. But we all have different opinions about what we need to do to get over the top. So many more positives than negatives for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's why the negatives come up, because they are so good, and you're like, damn, this is the year they're going to win a Super Bowl. And then when they don't, that's when I think the negatives come up, and then I start looking at why are they not getting it done? And I think it's good to remind myself. Go ahead.
It's frustrating, Ryan, because like I always use the analogy, like teams that never are relevant, like the Raiders and some of these other teams, the Colts that just don't make the playoffs. I use the analogy that it hurts more to fall out of a window from the 20th floor than from the 2nd floor. When you get all the way to the top and you need to get a few more floors to get that title, and then you fall, man, it hurts. And I always tell these fans of these teams that make the playoffs for the first time, I said, be careful what you ask for, because losing in the playoffs and then ultimately the Super Bowl is a different kind of pain than the regular season.
Yes, sir. I agree with that. Cynthia says nothing wrong with being overly positive. I think that's how I look at it, but I just can't lie about the team, right? Like, there's certain things I see that are negative. And so when I can't be dishonest.
Like a black cloud, like hanging over the team.
I can't be dishonest on this show. I know there are people that I know fake opinions. I just can't. It's not in me. I got to be honest all the time, good or bad, but I can focus more on the positive with this team. And I'll try to remind myself that doesn't mean I'm never going to be negative, because if I'm never negative, then I'm just not being genuine. So I will be negative on time to time, because that's the reality of certain things. But I can make more of an effort to talk about the things that are good. So it's just not all doom and gloom all the time. Real quick, Harris says, thank you for the 50, Ryan. I'll step out next round so everyone gets a shot. Just so you guys know, I don't know if you know yet, but every Friday we do $50 Friday. I give away $50 to whoever answers the trivia question correctly the fastest. and Harris has done it twice already. He's won twice. So I said, man, you should step out, but I don't know. I feel bad. Like I don't know that. Is that right? What do you think, Los? Should Harris have to step out? He's won twice already. Should I spread the wealth and ask Harris to step out 1 week, or should I just let him keep cooking?
That's a tough question. Other people got to step up and beat him. I mean, you can't hold it against him that he's,
That's what Croc said too.
Yeah, I kind of agree. If you want to, like, as to say Ric Flair, to beat the man, to be the man, you have to beat the man. So
there you go. Harris and beat Harris. He's the man right now. Harris, you don't have to step out on Friday, brother. You can fully participate. If these guys want that 50, they just got to beat you, man. So I agree. At first, I said, Harris, we should have you step out next week because you keep winning. But I disagree now. So take it back. We want you Friday participate. And everyone else got to step their game up.
Yep. Right. Harris, if you keep winning, you're going to have to be a sponsor for Ryan Ansley show as well.
Yeah, just put it all right back into me. Actually, do have a sponsor. I'm talking to a couple of people. Got a couple new sponsors, or at least one new sponsor coming very soon, which I'm excited about and thankful. Wolf Life Wild, my guy Wolf. Seems like we're bringing back the style of safety like we had with Dante Hittner and Deshaun Golston, and I love it. Cracking MFs. Huff, Brown, and Mustafa. They really do have 3 solid safeties there. I'm assuming Huff comes back, which is more good news that we should talk about. He's not going to play in this preseason game. He's not practicing right now. My guess is Huff makes the roster even if he can't play week 1, but he is on the mend and he's on his way back. So that's good. What do you think about the safeties this year, Los?
Love them. Real curious to see if Hufanga can get back. And if he's going to perform at the same level that he played at before. I think it'll take him a few weeks to get back up to speed. And if he does, then I personally love more of a 4-2-5 defense. I like to put our best 11 guys on the field. That to me is the best opportunity to have the best defense that you can. So if your third safety is better than your third linebacker, and that is going to be the question, is Hufanga or is Mustafa going to be better than Winters or Graham or Campbell? And if they are, because Mustafa and Hufanga are like linebackers. They can play up close to the box and have the other 2 safeties play back. So, and they're quicker than that third linebacker. So I'm all about the Niners having a little bit more team speed on defense. I love our safeties. Our secondary, Ryan, honestly, strongest position on the team, in my opinion.
It might be
very deep. Very deep.
It might be
in the secondary.
If Greenlaw was healthy, I would argue that linebacker's right there too.
Agree.
Without him, I would say you're right now. That's good. One thing I was concerned about is this D line and the pass rush. But if your back end is extremely strong, your linebackers are extremely strong. That'll make up a little bit on the pass rush. That'll buy the pass rush more time. It'd be obviously great if you had great pass rushers, and hopefully Leonard Floyd. That's the thing, we haven't seen Leonard Floyd at all, or much at all. And the other good news is on Friday, Kyle said the starters are going to play. So we will get a chance to look at some of the starters for the first time, which is exciting to see.
So in staying in the positive mode, what is your opinion about let's start just with the roster. Do you feel this roster is more talented than the roster that left Las Vegas in February right now?
I think it sounds like Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams will both be back very soon. And that was the sticking point to me. With those 2 guys back, yeah, I do think so. I think they missed opportunities to get stronger at positions of need, like tackle and in the draft. But outside of that, it's still Colton McKivitz. Maybe he's improved a little bit. If Colton McKivitz is 3% better, that's better. I think adding Pooney makes the offensive line better. So even at the weakest position group, which is probably the offensive line, I think they're going to be better because of Pooney. That's great. We'll see if Trent is the same. He might have a slow start. I don't know. He's also a year older. But in general, yeah, I think they added some great young rookies. I think they added, Malik Collins. I'm interested in defensive tackle. Leonard Floyd, I think, was a good pickup, who I'm assuming is going to be better than Chase Young, although Chase Young looked pretty damn good against us in the preseason game, but that's preseason. So I think that's going to be better. The DBs are deeper and better. Yeah, I think they are going to be better. And I think they do have a better roster.
I agree with you, and I'm gonna stay positive, but give me a little bit of leeway here and just say that I felt the Niners have had the better roster and the better team over the last 4 years. In the two Super Bowls against Kansas City, I thought they had a better roster. I thought they had a better team. Against the Rams, the NFC Championship, I thought they had a better roster, better team. So I think we're always emphasizing about team and roster. The Niners, they're there. They're already at the top. The top 100 players, I think they have by far more than any other team. So again, I'm not going to get into specifics because I'll go off on that, but I'll just say in general, I think the reasons the Niners have lost is they've been quite frankly outcoached in preparation and in adjustments, and I'll just leave it at that. So if that can be tweaked a little bit, and then the second thing, and me and you always harp on it, is the philosophy of not addressing the offensive line. So Pooney is going to be a real good player, but that means you still got 3/5 of an offensive line. Your center and your right tackle are still a little bit, a weak point. And during the regular season, when you play weak defensive fronts, you're going to get away with it. The scheme's going to be able to work. But when you play tough defensive front sevens, then the scheme doesn't work quite as well because you have two holes on the O-line. And Ryan, at the end of the day, in football, sometimes you just need to beat your man one-on-one. You need to beat the guy in front of you without scheming it up. So that's going to be my only tiny negative for the day. Everything else was positive, but love the roster, love the talent. Just a couple of tweaks, and I think we're right there.
Yeah, and the only thing that to be real, like I do think the Niners roster is better, but I think a lot of teams in the NFC are better, and then which makes it tough. The Rams are better, the Lions are better, the Eagles unfortunately look better. The Seahawks might be better. Even the Cardinals might be better. Like everyone's got a lot better. Last year was kind of like the Niners were alone by themselves up there, and now they're still up there at the top. But then there's some other teams that are right there next to them. And then the crappy part is the Chiefs. Chiefs are better. And then my sleeper team in the AFC is the Texans. I don't know if they're a sleeper team, but they're actually my all the way. If anyone beats the Chiefs, I think it's the Texans, and so
they're legit. Who scares you most out of the NFC? Is it Detroit?
In the NFC, I mean, scared.
Not scared. I mean, concerned about. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Detroit, LA. A couple of injuries to Trent Williams, Brock Purdy. Knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen. LA could win the damn NFC West, so that's a concern for me. And then. I think the Lions are really. I already predicted. And the Niner fans don't like this, but I predicted a Texans Lions Super Bowl with the Texans winning. That was my Super Bowl prediction before the season. So
that's gutsy. Well, I got Detroit or Green Bay, like right there. The Niners are kind of like U.S. men's basketball. Like they're still on top in the NFC at least, but teams are coming and they're getting closer. Yeah. And they're younger.
A lot of Green Bay. Green Bay is another team. I mean, the Bears look better.
Caleb Williams looks nice.
I mean,
Caleb looks nice.
And then Minnesota has the greatest thrower of the football in 49ers history at quarterback. So, I mean.
Yeah, and then there's that. Yeah, and now he has to be the man since McCarthy went out. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully none of you guys that play fantasy football are running out there to draft Sam Darnold, man. I feel sorry for your team.
Something Melvin said every major media personality fakes opinions daily, and that is true. And that's probably why I'll never be big time because I can't do that, man. I don't know. It's something about being fake and dishonest on record. It's just here's what I will say though. I don't know if you guys know, Grant, Jesse, the coach, and I are having a 4-person roundtable starting tomorrow. It's gonna be rotating. So 1 week it'll be on Grant's channel, then it'll be on Jesse's and mine, and coach or whatever. This week it's gonna be on Grant's show tomorrow, Thursday, at 4 p.m. It's gonna be every Thursday. I'm not sure what time it's gonna be every week, but that starts tomorrow, and I think we may transparently tell you guys, hey, I don't feel this way, but we're gonna, for the sake of argument, we're going to argue a point, debate style, just to make it interesting. But if I ever fake an opinion, I'm going to tell you up front, this is my opinion. I'm just arguing it for the sake of arguing it. But yeah, I don't know how people fake opinions how do you wake up every day and be fake? I guess they're paying millions of dollars, so they feel good about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're getting
Yeah,
a paycheck by the organization, and when you go on air, you have to say all these things that you don't really believe in, but then as soon as you turn off that mic and the show is off, you're just cursing and swearing the organization up and down. But no, that's great. That's great. Congratulations on that roundtable. These are 4 guys that are real. They're going to tell you how they feel. They're going to give flowers when they're deserved, and they're going to kick people in the ass and give tough love when it's deserved. So I think that's the majority of what people want to hear.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the show, and we're going to be structuring it like in different ways to where it's like nothing you guys have seen before. It'll be different than anything you guys have seen before. So tune in tomorrow. It'll be on Grant Show. Every week we'll rotate to somebody else's channel. So at some point it'll be on this channel, and looking forward to doing that every Thursday. Corey Soda says, I won't say he falls apart, but my prediction is by the end of the season, we will all be seriously questioning whether Purdy is a real franchise quarterback. Los, what do you think?
I could see him regress in some aspects. Again, if he doesn't get the protection, if the wide receiver group gets some injuries, it was an interesting philosophy that Grant had the other day about Kyle wanted to throw Purdy out there without any weapons to see, okay, let's see how you do when you don't have as much talent around you. That's a preseason game. You played 2 series, but I would probably slightly disagree with that. I think Purdy's going to take another step. I think he has too many positive things about him as a player, and I just feel for the most part you get better. He seems like a guy that is a very hard worker. I brought this up on your show before. Like, if you want to talk about a guy that had leverage to hold out, could have been him. He didn't do it. He's in camp. He's in the playbook. He's lifting, getting stronger, getting better, and he's taking over as a leader. Like, for a young guy, like, he don't play around. He checks some of the veterans. So I would have to slightly disagree with Corey and say that barring injuries from some of their main stars, I see Purdy continuing to progress and get better as a quarterback.
Yeah, the one thing I don't think he could have held out this year, right? Because they can't negotiate until after the season. But I hear your point on everything else. If I'm Corey, in response to this, here's my take. It's actually a little bit of an opposite take. So I think Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback, and I've been telling everyone I think he is going to take a step forward this year and be a better quarterback, just like Lo said. And at that point, it won't be a question whether he's a real franchise quarterback. But to me right now, I still have that question. If I'm being honest, I think Brock Purdy is really good, but is he $60 million really good?
Yeah,
that part I don't know right now. So I question that right now. But what I'm anticipating is that he proves that he is by the end of this season. I expect him to show us that.
I have personally 2 things that maybe Purdy doesn't have to make him an elite quarterback, to be in the Burrow and Mahomes level. And those 2 things, for me at least, are: one, to me, an elite quarterback is when you're down like 2 or 3 scores in the 4th quarter and you have no threat of a running game. You have to drop back and pass every down. The defense knows it, the fans know it, everybody knows it, and you still go down the field, score, and come back and win a game. There are a few quarterbacks that can do that. Some need play action. Some need the threat of the run to hold the linebackers. I think kind of Purdy's in that level. And the second thing is, we'll see, he's been lifting and his arm is a little bit stronger, but can he make every throw? Can he make every throw? Yes. But can he do it with the velocity that it takes to get a 30-yard out? I'll give you an example. The throw that Pat Mahomes made on 3rd and 15 in Super Bowl 54 against the Niners. If you watch that play, he's backing up. He doesn't step into that throw. He's backing up because Bosa's coming and the rush is coming. So he's backing up and flicks it 40 yards downfield. I guarantee you Purdy cannot make that throw. He can make that throw if he steps into it. But backing up, that ball would have fluttered up there and been picked off. So those 2 things, and that's not a knock on Purdy. Again, I think he's a great quarterback. But elite, I think those are the 2 things that keeps him from being elite.
Yeah, for me, I think it's similar, but like for me, he's never gonna have a strong arm. It doesn't. Would he want? Would he prefer a stronger arm? Like if you asked him, like on the like, if you ask Brock Purdy with no cameras around, no off the record, or if you ask Kyle Shanahan, would you prefer Purdy's arm be stronger? They would both, if they're being honest, both of them would say, sure, yes, of course. That's like asking a track athlete, would you rather be faster? They're going to say yes. I'd rather be
Obviously.
faster.
Yeah.
But I think the real thing I want to see from Brock that would put him in that elite category is the it factor, right? If Brock Purdy won that 3rd and 4, 2 minutes left in Super Bowl, he converts that play, wins the game. That's the it factor. That's elite. He didn't do it. Now, can he do it? I'm not going to doubt Brock Purdy because I've done it once or twice, and it's bit me in the ass. So I'm not going to doubt Brock Purdy anymore. He's proven not to doubt him. So it would not surprise me if he becomes that dude. So that's part of it. That's a big part of it. It's really the major part of it. But then the other thing is like taking control in situations, right? And you've heard positive words from George Kittle. George Kittle was on Kay Adams' show and was talking about Brock Purdy's not scared at all of Kyle Shanahan, and he loves that. And that's something I've been saying all offseason is I want when Brock Purdy's on the field, I don't care what play Kyle Shanahan has called. If you're in a crunch situation, game's on the line, and you see something that you don't like about what Kyle called, change it up and take control of this team. Right?
1,000%.
Those are the two things. Take control, make this your team because you're about to be the highest paid player on the team. So take control, make this your team, and then in those situations when you have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl, that's what makes you elite is doing that. Like in those moments, that's what Joe Montana had, right? He wasn't a super physically gifted quarterback, but he had that it factor. He was a winner when it mattered most. He was going to come through for you. Tom Brady, same thing. That's and we're talking about the greatest of all times. That's above elite, but I would love to see that feeling
That's a great point because Purdy needs help from his coach. Walsh gave Montana that leverage to be able to check off and improvise. Andy Reid is the best play caller in the league. It's not Kyle, it's Andy Reid. Andy Reid gives Patrick Mahomes his blessing to be able to, if he sees something on the field and that play's not going to work, he gives him the ability. Purdy has got to get help from Kyle. We've discussed this. So, that Kyle is going to allow Purdy to take that next level if he just says, okay, this offense very well. If you see something up there, please feel free to change the play. But if he stays the way he is right now, then that's kind of handcuffing him. And that's not really right for Purdy.
And this is a tough task and a tough ask for Brock Purdy, but he's kind of got to take that. He's kind of got to take it. And the way you do it is in those situations, you do it. And then you convert, you execute. And then that's going to show Kyle, okay, hey, you changed it and it worked. So you're right. That's how you build that trust, that confidence, that freedom, I think. So it's a combination of both. And that's what I think I want to see from Brock.
You want to get paid that big money, then take that responsibility and be accountable for it. Absolutely.
Right. And speaking of money, Aaron Lost, I saw this comment. I wanted to respond to it. His value is whatever the market dictates his values. And that's true. But right, like a Benz costs what a Benz costs. I have a Benz. I wanted to think of something else that like a Ferrari costs what a Ferrari costs. Right. The market dictates its value. But that don't mean I gotta buy one. Right. That don't mean that's where I want to spend my money. I'd rather invest in real estate or something like that. Right. Like, so yes, his value is going to be dictated by the market, but that doesn't mean that you need to be a buyer in that market. And so for me, regardless of what the market dictates for Brock Purdy, 49ers need to decide ultimately, is he worth it? And we'll see. I think they will. If he plays like he has been and improves, there's no doubt in my mind that they will.
That's going to be another contract situation next year. It's seemingly just part of the 49ers. I swear, 10 years from now, they're going to have a reality show about the Niners.
Well, here it is.
30 for 30 or something on Netflix and all the behind the scenes stuff. It's coming.
What are you looking forward to in this game on Friday? Is there something that you're looking to see?
I'm looking forward to the young guys, again, getting those reps, getting a little bit better. I'm not concerned about the veterans and established players. You asked Steph about who you thought might be the most improved player on the team. I'll answer that. I think it's going to be out of Darrell Luter, or D Winters. And D Winters and Graham are kind of like, 1A and 1B, like they're side by side. 1 week Winters looks good, 1 week Graham looks good. So I want to see the young players like show the coaching staff, I need to be the man. I need to be the starter. I need more playing time by their play, not only in practice, but in game situations. Because let's face it, the Niners are very top heavy. They have a lot of guys that make big money. You need to have balance in the salary cap era where younger, cheaper guys are playmakers on your team rather than, the guys like Campbell, the linebacker. He's okay, but I want Winters and Graham to say, hey, you've had your time, man. I want this starting linebacker job. So that's what I want to see. I want to see the young guys, have that dog in them and said, I need to play. I need to be the man. I need to be able to be the starter.
Yeah, man. For me, one of the things I'm looking for too is the starters. We get to see the starters on Friday, according to Kyle Shanahan. So most of the starters will be playing this Friday, which is different because typically in the preseason they play in the second game and not at all in the third game. But this year, Kyle Shanahan's switching it up, and he says we're going to see a lot of the starters in this game. So that'll be the first time you might get our first look at Debo and Kittle and Brock with those guys. So that's something I'm looking for. Maybe see Fred Warner out there. That'd be great, man. So maybe some Charvarius, Demo, seeing how those guys look. That's exciting. And then, did you say Garendo? Did you bring that up? No,
I did not. You like Garendo a little more than me. His speed and his measurables are off the charts.
Yeah.
The thing about me and you, we study the draft a lot, man. I'm going to stop studying the draft because it's like the Niners and all the years I've been following them have taken like maybe 3 or 4 players that I really wanted. They always go in another direction, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Frank Gore Jr. on the team. He's doing real well in Buffalo. He's got his dad's vision. Doesn't have the speed that Garendo does, but yeah, if Garendo can pick up the offense, his size and speed combination are very intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to say I wanted Garendo. He was on my Malik Mustafa. Yeah, Malik Mustafa and Isaac Garendo were both on my list of who I wanted the 49ers to draft. So I'm glad they got Malik, and he looks great so far. I wanted Garendo not because I think he's going to be a good running back necessarily, but I feel like the 49ers have speed. Like Debo is great. He's not the fastest guy. Brandon Aiyuk's great. They're not like burners, right? Juwan Jennings, slowest receiver on the team. I just wanted the 49ers to get that speed element that like Miami has with Tyreek Hill. And so I wanted to see and I know Garendo's not a receiver, but I just wanted to see what Kyle could do with some speed. So maybe at some point they work Garendo into the roster. But really what I want to see is with his new kickoff rules, it almost feels like he was drafted specifically to be the kick returner. And I just want to see what that speed looks like in the kick return on Friday. And then I'll be able to tell you whether I like him or not. From things I've heard, he might not be the best running back, but if he can just be a speed burner kick returner, that's exciting. That's a different element. I love the new kick return rules. I think so far in the preseason, though, we're not really seeing what it's going to look like because they're keeping everything vanilla. But once the season starts, you're going to see special teams coaches dialing up all kinds of different return looks. And somebody like Isaac Garendo with that 4.33 speed could be a game changer at certain times.
Yeah. I mean, just speed makes a lot of difference in the world. When you have game breakers that take it to the house, as opposed to getting caught and then the offense bogs down in the red zone and we're kicking field goals again. And, we're keeping games that should not be close or that, should be a little bit more of a blowout, closer than they should be. Yeah, that's why I was hoping Danny Gray would be something, because he's got lights out speed, but it hasn't worked out. So more speed on the offense, more guys that can take it all the way the distance are definitely a good thing, making the chances of the Niners being top better.
Yeah, my guy Melvin brings up a point, but I think you're slightly missing what I was trying to say. He's saying if you woke up with a Ferrari at the house and could afford it, would you roll the dice and get anything from a Pinto to a Bentley? When I said Ferrari, I meant the price tag, right? Not necessarily the car. What I'm saying is, how do I make a better simile?
Like caviar is really expensive, man, but I wouldn't pay $300 for a bunch of fish eggs. Hell no.
Well, what I think I'm saying is this. We'll use real estate. I'm a real estate broker, mortgage broker. You're a mortgage broker. So we'll use real estate. Shit, is this even going to work? I'm trying to figure it out here, right? Like, how does this work? Like, so Brock Purdy's going to have a price tag and the market's going to dictate what it's worth, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's worth it to you. So here's a perfect example. Bay Area real estate, hella expensive. And if you want a small ass house, you're looking at $1 million plus in the Bay Area, damn near every time, even if it's like a small house. For some people, that's worth it. For other people, they move their ass to fucking Iowa or some shit because it's not worth it. Arizona, right? So Lowe said it's not worth it to him to pay these prices, right?
Let me help you out. Let me help you out here, brother. I think, let me see if this works. So I asked this a lot of friends and family that still own in California. Most of them bought 3 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. This is the question I ask them. Would you pay what your house is worth right now? You know what I hear from every single one of them? No. Would you pay for what your house is worth right now? And most of them say no. Now somebody else will, because they value that differently than you. Like you bought it for $300,000 and it's worth $1 million. So you just have that mindset, like, hell no, I'm not going to spend $1 million on this house. I got it for why would I do that? But somebody else that's a first-time buyer will see value in it that you don't. So that's kind of how it is with sports. If the Niners feel Brock Purdy is worth $60 million, and that could very well compromise if this team is going to win championships in the next 5 years. Because let's be real, Lenore's probably going to leave. Greenlaw might leave. Like there's a lot of guys that might leave because they're paying Purdy and some other guys. So it's all dependent on what one team or one organization feels is a value. Another team may not.
Right.
Same thing with real estate.
Yeah, I mean, you got to find, like, do you want the house, the $1 million house with the location, or do you want to spend, a little less, get in the house? Maybe the location's not as good, but you got a pool and you got acreage and you got all this stuff, right? So maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough real estate analogies. I think the thing is, here's let's bring it back to football, right? There's guys like Kirk Cousins. He's made hella fucking money, man. Excuse my language. Kirk Cousins has made so much money. Has he put any team into Super Bowl contention? Because he's not that dude, right? To me, I mean, if we're being honest here, there's probably 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks in the NFL that are worth that kind of money, and the rest of them are just a waste of money. Because if they're not going to bring you to the top, and if you're paying a quarterback like they're top 5, but they don't play like top 5, you're not getting the results of a top 5 quarterback, and you're missing out on other players that you could be adding to the team to help you get you there. So for me, if I'm a GM, I'm asking myself when contracts come up for quarterbacks, like, is this dude an elite quarterback? Is he top 5, 6, 7 in the league? If he's not, do we really want to pay him that kind of money? And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The hard answer is no, to be real.
Yeah. I bring this up on my show quite a bit, Ryan. We're talking contracts and stuff, baseball, football, basketball. You got to have a lot of balls to let a pretty good quarterback walk and trust your scouting and trust your process to either trade for his replacement or draft his replacement. If we look at all the top quarterbacks right now, I think it's even less than that. I think there's like maybe 3 that are really, truly worth their value. Look at the guys that got money this last year. Jared Goff, he's not a $55 million a year quarterback. He's not. Tua, he's not. I mean, but it's just the market is what the market is. You hear that? That's the common theme. Well, that's what the market is. So you don't have to be in the market. I don't have to, pay this. If I can find somebody that can do well in this system with these weapons, I can get them for $2 million on his rookie contract, or trade for a backup quarterback that I feel will do well. You don't have to give in all the time. Now, for guys like Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, fine. Those are top-tier superstar quarterbacks that are difference makers. But just to give a guy the money because that's the market, they did that with Jimmy Garoppolo after 5 games. That was one of the stupidest decisions. I was so hot when they gave that to him. I was just imagining him being in the boardroom with his agent. Okay, I want to be the top quarterback in the league. And the Niners going, how? How can you possibly ask for that after 5 games? And I would just have loved to see that debate, and the Niners just gave in and go, oh, okay, here you go. I think too many teams do that, Ryan. They don't trust the system. There's other good quarterbacks out there to be given that much money and hurting the rest of your roster.
Yeah, and I want to great tone says to Cousins' defense, he never played for a team like the Niners. And here's the thing. I think if Cousins was on the 49ers in these 2 Super Bowls, we probably would have won it. So it's not a knock on Cousins, but what I'm saying, if you're paying a quarterback who's not a Patrick Mahomes, and I think Matt Stafford is one of those guys. I think Aaron Rodgers at his peak was one of those guys. We'll see if they ever get back to that level. But if you're paying a guy Cousins money, how long are you going to have a team like the 49ers? Can you put together a roster like the 49ers? I don't know if you can. So it's kind of the catch-22, right?
Yeah, the system is what the system is.
Yeah. Well, Los, man, great show. I will tell you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m., I'm going to have on Johnny Dells, who's bringing me the top 3 plays of the game from last week. Only available exclusively here on the Ryan G. Hensley Show. Friday, we're going to have $50 Friday where we give $50 away, and Wayne Breezy will be on the show. Saturday, we do a call-in show. So you should be subscribed by now, to be real. I don't understand what the problem is. If you're not, I got a lot of people watching but not subscribing. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. If you would not mind, I would appreciate that. Los, what do you got going on, brother?
Got a busy day today, and I'm actually flying out to the Bay Area tomorrow. I'm going to be out there for 5 days and get away from this 106-degree heat. I'll actually be in the city, nice 65 degrees tomorrow, man. I'm going to love it. Going to enjoy it.
I'll be out in the Bay on Saturday, man. I got to go bring my kids some stuff that we didn't bring him when he moved out to college. So going to see him on Saturday. I love whenever I get a chance to go to the Bay. I miss the Bay, to be honest with you.
Me too.
I feel like because I don't know if people know, I live out in the Sac area, in the Roseville area. And we bought out here because at the time when I bought this house, super cheap, good schools. It was like perfect scenario. But now when I look at it, the Bay Area was so cheap back then compared to now. But I do want to get back to the coast at some point, man. I miss the weather. I miss the ocean. So hopefully we'll get there.
You gonna stop by the 707?
Typically, yeah. My mom still lives out there, so we always either on the way out or the way back. We stop, say hi to mom, eat some dinner, stuff like that.
I'll be in Benicia on Saturday. Fantasy
football
draft. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll hit you up, man. We'll see where you're
at.
Around.
Yeah,
see if
no doubt.
Works.
Cool.
All right, you guys. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you'd be so kind. Tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching the Ryan G. Hensley Show. Your support is greatly appreciated. Please visit RyanGHensley.com to learn more about me and all of my businesses. Whether it's real estate, credit repair, solar, whatever it is, you can find out more about me on that website. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. Thanks again for watching. It's much